Okay, what's up, guys? This is day 2 of making and posting a YouTube video every single day until I make $1 from YouTube. So, after yesterday's video, after watching it, I don't think I just edited it once, or edited it once, and it was pretty shit. I mean, I don't know, I got bored watching it, which is fine. Like, it's my first ever video. But yeah, like this, what's happening right now, this is the type of thing that is just boring. Like, who wants to watch me stumble over my own words about my own YouTube videos? Probably no one. So anyway, I'm going to try and make the intros more concise. I'm going to try and have more of a plan going into the YouTube video. And yeah, that's how I plan on making $1 faster. So today, yesterday we talked about, like, what do you do with your life? Basically, the title of the video was, like, what am I going to do with my life? What should I do with my life? Whatever. So today, I kind of want to talk about politics, because politics are interesting to me, and they're interesting in a lot of ways. Mostly how brainwashed everybody seems to be. Okay, not everybody, right? Like, there's an exception. You know, you got your people, your middle ground people, and those are the people that I really respect, you know, because they realize that being radical to the left or right is, well, you're a puppet if you are, you know? You're constantly being manipulated and you're completely brainwashed. So those middle ground people, those are the people I really respect. And I like to call myself one of those people, you know? I'm not radical left or radical right. So, yeah. But I just wanted to talk about how it comes to be that some people get that way. And I don't know. So it's kind of it's an open-ended situation. My theory is that when people are young, you know, when people are small, they get influenced by their parents mostly. So let's say your parents are very right wing, you know, you're likely going to be right wing for the first portion of your life, at least. And you know, you hear stories of people that are like, oh, my parents were really Democratic, and then after a while I was Republican, or vice versa. But anyway, I think the main factor in that chooses or decides people's political stance is their parents when they're starting out. And I think that's just how it is, right? It's not necessarily good or bad. But in my opinion, I think a lot of kids, okay, not a lot, actually, I take that back. I think a good amount of kids, maybe half the kids, have pretty radical political opinions before they're even, like, in college. Like, take my school, for example. A lot of the people at my school, like, I go to high school, a lot of the people I know have very radical political opinions. And it's like, me, my age group, is not at an age where we can, like, rightfully be that radical. I mean, I don't think anyone should be that radical, but I guess the point I'm trying to make is we're too young to be radically left or radically right, and we just simply don't know what we're talking about. And I think it's partially the parents' fault for pushing that so strongly on the kids. And in my opinion, what I think is that I think parents should not express their political opinions as much as possible to their kids, and I think that they should just try and teach their kids morals rather than a political party. And not to say that parents are saying to their children, like, you should be Democratic or you should be Republican. But more what I'm saying is, like, you shouldn't model that to your kids, because at the end of the day, that's the main that's the main factor that's going to have them choose what political party they consider they affiliate themselves with. And I think you should try as much as possible as a parent to not model one or the other. I think you should try and just model, being a good person objectively, and let your kid on their own decide what they want to be, and hopefully they will not pick a political party, and they will just be, realize that being very radical on left or right is just dumb, and you're a pawn, and hopefully not picking one, that product will come from a parent or parents, hopefully, that do teach their kids morals and, just being a good person and ethics over politics. So yeah, and I think it's crazy how many, particularly women and girls, it's not, I take that back, not particularly girls, just boys and girls, your typical teenage boy, your typical teenage girl, it's incredible how radical they seem to be right now in this time in history. And I don't know how it was 30 years ago, but I don't think that teenagers 30 years ago were this political. I just don't think so. And I don't know what's causing it. I think it's the parents, and I think it's social media, and I think it's how easily children my age, or young adults, I guess, children and young adults my age, can be influenced by social media. And if your parents, I'll run you through an example here. Let's say your parents are super, super Republican, right? And you grow up listening to that, and you're like, as a 13-year-old, that I agree with my parents, right? Because they're my parents. Of course they're right. I'm also Republican. I hold those values also, right? So then you get a phone when you're, 14. Hopefully you get a phone when you're 14, and no time sooner. Because realistically, I don't think you need it. Now, there's extenuating circumstances, but anyway, that's a tangent. So you get a phone at 14, let's say, and your phone obviously picks up on the fact that it hears that you have these right-wing values, and based on what you search, it's listening to you, and so on. So then it feeds you this content, and you're a very, very, very vulnerable young 14-year-old, and you're like, wow, I really jive with this and what my parents are saying. And then it feeds you something about people on the left doing horrible things, because all the parties are doing horrible things, but because you're affiliated with the right in this case, your phone starts to feed you all these things about how bad the left is, how bad the radical left is, how good the right is. And it further establishes those values in you. And it's like, once you're 17, 18, you are a absolute ball in this specific example. You are just a complete right-wing radical individual at 17 years old. And it's like, how do we get here? This isn't how it should be. At 17 years old, you're thinking about your future. You're thinking about college, hopefully, or going into a trade, or just working or playing a sport. And it's like, these people take to social media and they're posting about politics and how radical, not how radical they are, but just all this stuff about politics, and it's easy to see why that is. Plus, then naturally you surround yourself in school or whatever it may be with similar-minded peoples, and that's an echo chamber that only further establishes and ratifies your beliefs. So I think it's so to conclude this, basically, and I think this will be the whole video. To conclude this, I just I want to say how important I think it is for parents and for my generation, my upcoming generation, like Gen Z, I guess it would be. I think it's so important for this generation to raise their kids, if at all possible, when they do have kids, or we do have kids, and when we raise them, to try and model as little as possible being really political, and not to demonize another half of society. Because basically, if you split down the U.S., okay, no, not completely, but basically it's two halves. You got the left and the right. And to not demonize, I think it's so important to not demonize the other side. Like if you're, the other side. I think it's so important that you don't, politics is not a huge part of your life. I think it's really important that you teach your kids what it means to be a good person, to be a kind person, and to be a moral person. And just show them love, because I think that then in turn they'll show the world a lot of love. And yeah, I mean, because that's the future generation, and they're gonna make all the decisions. So anyway, the point is, it's so important to do that. And also, I think as Gen Z, as this generation, us Gen Z people, I think it's so important that we as a generation take a big step back, a big step back, and if at all possible, try your very best to take a step back and look at what you're believing in and ask yourself, why am I believing in this? And is this benefiting me? And am I just getting worked up? And let me say something real quick. I think, because statistically this is true, what I'm about to say. For example, I think all of the very, very radical left girls and women out there need to take a step back and need to say, why do I believe this so much? Why do I feel it's necessary to post on social media about this so much? To get in arguments with my parents? To, hate my parents? I've seen some examples of that with personal life, with friends. Like the election is mainly what I'm talking about here. They'll completely separate themselves with their families because of their political views and how they're different. And yeah, and also it's the other way too. I think it's so important for all the boys and men and young adults to do the same thing. Like, if you're really radically right, I think it's very important that you take a step back and you ask yourself, is this serving me, right? The same thing. And how did this start? Like, why did I get these beliefs in the first place? Do they really truly align with my personal values? Like, to really try and be honest with yourself. Do they? And maybe they do, right? And that's great. And that's why I'm asking that it's important that you do this, because maybe they do. But I think on both sides, okay, and then also, of course, I'm not saying that all girls are far left, and I'm not saying that all boys and men are far right. I'm just saying to everybody that is really radical, take a step back, right? Take a step back and just ask yourself some questions, some basic questions like I already discussed. Yeah. Why did I get here? How did I get here? Is this serving me? Do they truly align with my personal moral values? Yeah, so anyway, I think it's important that you do that. So I think it's very important to recap your parents and us as the future upcoming generation of parents do not involve their kids in a ton of politics, and as much as possible show them morals rather than politics, and don't try and demonize anybody else, really, truly, just anybody else. Like, this goes beyond politics. And then the other thing is, as Gen Z, as Gen Z, try our very hardest to really reflect on our beliefs, reflect on, is it serving us, and all that. So yeah, I mean, and also, the reason I'm focusing on Gen Z here is that, sure, like the other generations, this would be great for everybody to do, right? I'm simply saying here that I think there's more of a chance for Gen Z to change this than there is for older people to change this. Because our generation, most of the people, their brains haven't formed yet, and we still have a chance. We still have a chance to really bring the best out of our lives and make the best out of our lives and help the future and upcoming generation. And not to say that other older people can't, but I think it's definitely harder. It's definitely harder to change your beliefs once you're older. And that's something I hope I will always be able to keep fluid and always try and have opinions based on carefully thought out, material and facts, and always ask myself, is this the right view, and look at it from all angles. And I hope that's something I can always do. So yeah, basically that's it, guys. This was day 2 of making a YouTube video every single day until I make $1 from YouTube. And yeah, I think that's it, guys. So thank you so much for watching. Nobody watched my last video yet, which is okay, to be expected. Nobody's probably going to watch this video, but who knows. But, oh, yes, we're going to end every video with this. Please, guys, subscribe if you are watching this. The goal is, if the first person to watch this video all the way through, I want you to subscribe. I want you to hit that subscribe button, as all the YouTubers say, because it's going to make it so much better. Any kind of traction I can get to get this YouTube thing going, any kind of possible traction I can get, you would be a huge help. Like, you have no idea how excited I am I will be. Now, I can't say I am because no one subscribed yet. I have like 4 subscribers, and I think it's my family and like me on other accounts. You have no idea how happy and how excited I would get if I saw 5 subscribers, if I saw 6 subscribers. Like, I would go crazy. So, guys, with that being said, the video is going to be, that's it for this video. So, thank you for watching, if anyone watched, and please, please, please subscribe. You have no idea how much it would mean to me. It's no effort on your part. You could just ignore it, but it would help me so, so much. So thank you so much, guys, for watching, if anybody did, and that's it for today. Bye.